It may be a mathematical, I mean the integration step, or the theoretical part. In case if you have any doubts, you can ask. Have you understood the work done in an adiabatic process? Have you practiced? Yes. How about others? Okay, fine. Nandita. Okay. Nandita has asked, sir, fourth page, last three steps. Okay, fine. Yeah, Harsh. Just you can underline which is the step you want me to explain. Underline it. Highlight it. Harsh and Nandita. What is there to explain that step, man? See here, in equation 2, if you have understood this equation 2, you will come to know. What is that? Is equation 2? Equation 2 is nothing but W is equal to integral of V1 to V2 PdV. So, PV to the power gamma is equal to K is an equation of adiabatic process. So, hence P can be written as P is equal to K by V to the power gamma. So, just we have substituted the value of P in equation 2. So that comes out to be as W is equal to integral of V1 to V2 K divided by V to the power of gamma into dV. That is nothing but equal to V1 to V2. Just taking that V to the power of gamma to the numerator, that becomes K into V to the power of minus gamma dV. That's all. So in the next step, as I said, K is missing there. Okay, so it's a printing mistake. K has been left out. So what we are going to do is we will take out that K outside and we are going to integrate only V to the power minus gamma dV. Okay, this is the step that. Okay, W is equal to K into integral of V1 to V2 V to the power of minus gamma into dV. As you know that the integration of x to the power minus n dx comes out to be as what? X to the power of minus n plus 1 divided by minus n plus 1 plus c. The dx becomes a constant, that is plus c. So in the same way, if you integrate v to the power of minus gamma, so that comes out to be as v to the power of minus gamma plus 1 divided by minus gamma plus 1. Correct? That is what we are written in this step here. Next, what we have done is, okay, in this step we have interchange. Instead of minus gamma plus 1, you can write that one as 1 minus gamma. Okay, that 1 minus gamma which was in the numerator, okay, that is minus gamma plus 1 is numerator, right? So that can be written as 1 minus gamma. The denominator is been taken out. Okay, that becomes K divided by 1 minus gamma into left out thing is what? V to the power of 1 minus gamma is the left out thing which is in the numerator with the limits of V1 to V2. Substitute the upper limit first. If you substitute the upper limit first, what happens? It comes out to be V2 to the power of 1 minus gamma minus of V1 to the power of 1 minus gamma. Upper limit minus lower limit. This is what we have substituted. Right? Anything else apart from this? Have you understood, Harsh and Nandita? Okay, fine. So with this, we have completed work done in an adiabatic process. Okay. So next, coming to we have two cases in this adiabatic process. Okay, when work is done by the system expands. As you know that, what do you mean by this work done by the system? Okay, so when the gas expands, as you know that, the piston moves in the upward direction, right? So at that time, what happens? We say that the work is done by the system. Okay, at that time, work done is taken as positive. Okay, so hence from that equation 3, you can conclude that T2 will be lesser than T1. Okay, because when the gas expands, what happens? Okay, the temperature, that is the internal energy of the gas, decreases, right? So internal energy completely depends upon the temperature, correct? So if you consider T1 as the initial temperature and T2 as the final temperature, so when the gas expands, what happens? The internal energy decreases. That means that the temperature decreases. So hence you can conclude that T2 is lesser than T1. Thus, temperature of the system decreases when it expands adiabatically. Okay, so that is the thing. So next, from equation 2, work is done on the system. That is, the system contracts, then work done is negative. Hence from equation 3, it is clear that T2 is greater than T1. Okay. So as you know that, in that case, what happens when the system gets contracts? Okay. What do you mean by that? When the system is compressed. That is the meaning. Okay. When is the system is compressed? When the work is done on the system. That is when the piston moves in the downward direction. Okay. So when the piston moves in the downward direction, we say that the work is done on the system. Okay, and the work done is taken to be as negative. Okay, and what happens here is the temperature of the gas increases. When the gas contracts, what happens? The temperature of the gas increases. That means that you can conclude that T2 is greater than T1. Okay, T2 is greater than T1. Thus, the temperature of the system increases when it is compressed adiabatically. So, this is regarding the two cases. Okay, followed. Just go through once about the two cases. Is it fine about the two cases? Okay, fine. Next, we have to derive the relation between Cp minus Cv is equal to R. Okay, so this derivation I'll do in the next class, because this derivation which we have derived, okay, it is in another form. In the NCERT, they have given, they have derived this relation in the form of differential method. Okay, so that differential method has not been updated in this notes. Okay, so as I said, just give me 2 days. Okay, some of the correction has to be made in these notes. Okay, with that, I'll just replace this derivation, that is Cp minus Cv is equal to R, with the differential method, and just I'll update the notes and I'll send you to the group. Okay, so that you can go through. As of now, just we will keep this derivation pending. Okay, the Cp minus Cv is equal to R. Okay, so even this is an important derivation which they are going to ask this one for 3 marks in your examination. Okay, so we will keep this one. Just we will go to the next. Okay, there is nothing but, again, it has been asked that why Cp is greater than Cv. Okay, I think this thing we have studied in the thermal properties of matter itself, right? So why is that we have kept we keep saying that the Cp is greater than Cv? As you know that CV is nothing but what? It is meant that we are dealing at the constant volume. So when the volume is kept constant, what happens? The gas doesn't expand. Okay, so even if you're supplying the heat to the system, what happens? There will be increase in internal energy of the gas, but since the volume is constant, what happens? The gas is not allowed to expand. Okay, so that due to that, what happens? The work done will be nothing but equal to zero. No work done will be done. Okay, so whatever the heat you are going to supply, that entire heat what you have supplied will be used to increase the internal energy of the gas. Okay, that is the thing in the CV. Okay, next coming to CP. As you know that when we are dealing at the constant pressure, what happens? When you supply the gas, what happens? The volume of the gas increases. Okay, since the pressure can be kept constant, volume increases. So as you supply the heat, what happens? There will be an increase in internal energy of the gas. So due to that, what happens? The gas starts to expand. Okay, when the gas expands, what happens? The piston moves in the upward direction. That means that we say that the work is done by the gas. Okay, work is done by the system. So hence we say that CP is greater than CV, since work is done in the case of constant pressure. Okay, hence we say that CP is greater than CV. Okay, that is the meaning of that, why CP is greater than CV. Okay, is it fine? Have I understood that why CP is greater than CV? Okay, fine. So next coming to this reversible and irreversible process. Okay, about this reversible and irreversible process, let us go through what do you mean by this reversible and irreversible process. So coming to the first thing, that is a reversible process, I'll just read out. It is a process which can be made to proceed in the opposite directions with the same ease, so that the system and the surrounding pass through exactly the same intermediate state as in the direct process. Okay, in such a process, total work done in bringing the system back to its initial state is zero. Okay, example for that is nothing but conversion of ice to water and vice versa. Okay, so see, this reversible process is nothing but where you are going to bring the system to its initial configuration. Okay, where you are going to bring back the system into its original thing. Okay, after undergoing changes. Okay, after undergoing intermediate states. Example for that is nothing but just when you go through this example, it will be very easy. See here, let us say that you have a ice block of ice, so that you are converting that into water. Okay, so again, where you are going to convert that entire water into ice. Okay, this is called as reversible. Okay, first you had a ice, you have been converted that into water. Again, the water has been converted into ice. Okay, so that you have come back to your original thing there. Okay, initial state we call. Okay, so the example of that conversion of ice to water and vice versa, it is in ideal condition. Okay, as you know that when you convert a given amount of ice into water and again water into ice, there will be a loss in mass. Okay, not entire thing can be converted into water and again from water to ice. Okay, so that is the ideal thing. That is what, that is why they have given under ideal condition they have given. Okay, similarly, the second example is nothing but slow compression and expansion of a spring. So when you take a spring, when you compress it and expanding a spring. Okay, even that is an example for reversible process, where undergoing certain states so that you can bring back the system to its initial state. That is called as the reversible process. Okay. So the third one is ideal gas allowed to expand slowly and then compress slowly so as to reach its initial state. Suppose you can take a system, okay, taking a system so that you're allowing the gas to expand first. Okay, so what happens? The gas expands slowly so that after some stage again what you are going to do is you are compressing the system so that the system come back to its original state. Okay, so this is regarding the examples of the reversible process where you can bring back the system to its original state after undergoing certain intermediate states. Okay, so second one, irreversible process. It is a process which cannot be made to proceed in the reverse direction with the same is, and the system does not pass through the same intermediate state in the direct and reverse process. Okay, so in this case it's very easy irreversible where you cannot bring back the system to its initial state. Okay, under the same intermediate state. Suppose consider that you have a system, you're undergoing certain changes, you're undergoing certain intermediate state. Okay, so again after some point you are bringing the system back to its initial state. Okay, but when you are bringing back the system to its initial state, the same what intermediate state you have gone through, okay, will not be followed. Okay, so hence we say that the process which cannot be bring back to its initial state under the same intermediate state is called as the irreversible process. The example for that is nothing but a body moving on a rough surface from one point to another. Okay, so that is the first example. Second one is nothing but dissolving of sugar or salt in water in an irreversible process. So when you take a sugar or a salt, when you dissolve it, can you get back that sugar or salt to its initial state? No, right? Similarly, next is rusting of iron. Once the iron get rust, you cannot bring back that iron to its initial state. So this is what we call as the reversible and irreversible process. Again, this is the important thing. For 2 marks, they are going to ask. Okay, definition with example, one example. You have to answer. In case if they ask for 2 marks, in case if it is for 1 marks, any one definition, either reversible or irreversible process will be asked for 1 marks. Okay. So just go through about that both the definitions and examples for a few minutes. In case if you have any doubts, you can ask. Just go through now. Yes, students, any doubts? Have you understood that reversible and irreversible? Okay. So Pujita, it is which you have asked reversible. Okay. It is a process which can be made to proceed in the opposite direction with the same ease, so that the system and the surrounding pass through exactly the same intermediate state as in the direct process. Okay. Direct process is nothing but here. I'll just show you here itself. Okay. So let us say that the system is undergoing changes from here to here. Okay. It is moving from here to from this point to this point. Okay. So under certain conditions. Okay. So next, so that again the system is brought back to its initial state from again from this point to this point. Okay. So when the system undergoes the direct process from here to here, what are the changes which has occurred? It should be occurred in the same way when the system come back to its normal, I mean its initial state. So the changes whatever it has been occurred in this direction in the direct process, it should be same when the changes should be done in the same way when the system come back to its initial state. Okay, that is called as a reversible process. Okay. So this is regarding the reversible and irreversible process. So next is regarding heat engine. I think yesterday we have got a official confirmation of reduction of 30% of the syllabus, okay, in the first year and second year PUC. Okay, I think if you are I don't know whether you are aware of that or not. Okay, you can just go to Department of Pre-University website and you can just check there. Okay, they have given a link, so that if you just click the link there regarding the first PUC, so you will get a information what are the portions they have deleted from each chapter. Okay, what are the chapters which they have retained, and what are the, I mean, what are the topics they have retained and what are the topics they have deleted. Okay, so in this chapter, that is the heat engine, so which you have the next, it has been deleted. Okay, so this has been deleted. So heat engine is not there again. The refrigerator is not there, they have removed both. Okay, heat engine and refrigerator has been removed for this academic year. Okay, only for this academic year they have removed. Okay, so hence we will not go through this refrigerator and heat engine now. Okay, so now it is regarding the last topic of this chapter. Okay, before coming to the last topic, that is Carnot cycle. Okay, Carnot's reversible engine. So this is a 5 marks question in your examination. Okay, the 5 marks question which they usually ask in this chapter is nothing but one is work done in an isothermal process, second one is work done in an adiabatic process, and the third one is Carnot's reversible engine, Carnot cycle we call. Okay, so these are the three questions which can be asked for 5 marks from this chapter. Okay, so before that we have second law of thermodynamics. Since we have come across the zeroth law of thermodynamics and first law of thermodynamics, now it's time to go through the second law of thermodynamics. As the second law of thermodynamics is nothing but it is stated in two ways. Okay, one is Kelvin's statement of second law and another one is Clausius statement of second law. Okay, just we will go through what is that. The law specifying the condition of transformation of heat into work is called second law of thermodynamics. Okay, so as you know that second law of thermodynamics, it is nothing but specifies the transformation of heat into work, that is the amount of heat converted into work. Okay, so second law of thermodynamics deals about the conversion of heat into work. Okay, heat into work done. So Let us go through the first Kelvin statement of second law. Okay, Kelvin statement of second law. That is nothing but I'll just read out that statement. It states it is impossible to get a continuous supply of work by cooling a body to a temperature lower than that of the coldest of its surrounding. Okay, so it is impossible to get a continuous supply of work by cooling a body to a temperature lower than that of the coldest of its surrounding. Okay, this is the first statement. So the second statement is nothing but Clausius statement of second law. It states that it is impossible for self-acting machine unaided by an external agency to transfer heat from one body at lower temperature to another body at a higher temperature. I think the second law of, I mean the Clausius statement of second law is very easy to understand compared to that Kelvin statement of second law, right? So just we will finish off with this Clausius statement first, then we will move to the Kelvin statement. Okay, coming to this Clausius statement, as you know that it is said that impossible for a self-acting machine unaided by an external agency to transfer heat from one body at lower temperature to another body at a higher temperature. What does it mean? Always you know that heat always flows from one body, okay, from a higher body temperature to a lower body temperature. Okay, when you have a two bodies, okay, which has the two different temperatures, and when you bring both the bodies into contact, so what happens, there will be a flow of heat from higher body temperature to a lower body temperature. Okay, you don't need any external agency to do this. Okay, just when you bring both the bodies into contact, so what happened, obviously the heat flows from higher body temperature to a lower body temperature. But in order to make the heat to flow from lower body temperature to a higher body temperature, is it possible? No, right? So heat always flows from higher body temperature to a lower body temperature. But here it is said that until there is an external agency, okay, some external work has to be done in order to make the heat to flow from lower body temperature to a higher body temperature. Okay, that is the meaning of that. Without some external work, you cannot make the heat to flow from a lower body temperature to a higher body temperature. That is the meaning of that. Okay, in order to make that, to move the heat from lower body to a higher body temperature, you need to do some external work. Then only you can make the heat to flow from lower body to higher body temperature. Okay, so that is the meaning of Clausius statement. Is it fine about the Clausius statement? You just go through once about that statement, Clausius statement, read once or twice, try to understand that, because even this is a 2 mark question, okay, in your examination. Go through the Clausius statement of second law, just try to understand that. Unaided by an external agency means some external work has to be done. That is the meaning of that, unaided by an external agency. Okay, that is the meaning of that, is nothing but some external work has to be done. Okay, without that work done, you cannot make a heat to flow from lower body temperature to a higher body temperature. Is it fine about that clause yes statement? Yes, is it fine? Okay, fine. So next coming to this Kelvin statement. Yes, Tasneem, wait for some time. I'll just repeat. Okay. So coming to the next, that is Kelvin statement of the second law. Okay. Kelvin statement of the second law states that it is impossible to get a continuous supply of work by cooling a body to a temperature lower than that of the coldest of its surrounding. The best example, it is the easiest way to understand is nothing but refrigerator. How your refrigerator works? Okay, when I mean inside the refrigerator, the temperature will be very less compared to the surrounding temperature, right? Correct. As you know that, okay, suppose if you take a system, okay, if you take a system, suppose let us say that you are increasing the temperature of the system. Okay, you are increasing the temperature of a system by supplying heat. Okay, let us say that after some hours, after few hours, what happens, as you know that after few hours the temperature of the system and the surrounding becomes same, right? The best example is coffee. You can take, when you prepare a coffee, the temperature will be very high, right? Consider the coffee as the system. Leaving that for few hours, what happens, the temperature of the coffee will be nothing but equal to the temperature of the surrounding, right? Okay, that means that the temperature of the system will be nothing but equal to the temperature of the surrounding. Correct. In the similar way itself, okay, how the refrigerator works, okay, by when you compare the temperature of the, when you go through the, I mean inside the temperature, I mean inside the refrigerator, the temperature will be very low compared to the surrounding temperature, right? Correct. So even though, in order to get the temperature, okay, in order to maintain the temperature inside the refrigerator lower than the surrounding temperature, you need to do some work. Continuous work has to be done in order to maintain the temperature lower to the surrounding, compared to lower than that of the surrounding, you need to do some work. Okay, without that external work, okay, without doing that work, you cannot maintain the temperature lower compared to the surrounding. That is the meaning of that. Okay, so here once again I'll explain. See, you know the refrigerator, right? So inside the refrigerator the temperature will be very low compared to the surrounding temperature, right? So in order to maintain the temperature inside the refrigerator lesser than the surrounding temperature, so what you need to do, you need to do continuous work, you need to do some external work. Continuously you need to supply. Okay, only when some external work is done, the temperature inside the refrigerator will be lower compared to the temperature with the temperature of the surrounding. Okay, if you don't do that, if you don't supply that continuous work, if you don't do some external work, obviously the temperature inside the refrigerator will no longer be lesser compared to the surrounding. Okay, in order to maintain the temperature, okay, lesser than the surrounding inside a system, you need to do, you need to supply the continuous work. Okay, you need to do the continuous work done. Okay, that is the meaning of that Kelvin statement. Just go through the statements one, just go through the statement once, and just imagine the working of the refrigerator. It will be very easy to you. Just go through the Kelvin statement once. Yes, any doubts? Okay, do one thing. The assignment for today's class is nothing but write down reversible and irreversible process with an example. Okay, next, practice both the statements of second law. One is Kelvin's statement of second law and Clausius statement of second law. Both practice by writing. Okay, understand the concept and try to write in your own sentence. Okay, so the assignment which I have said, it will be asked for 2 marks, okay, in your examination. So this is the assignment for today's class. Okay, with this thing I'll just end up today's class. So in the next class we will just start with the Carnot's cycle. Okay, so as I said, you can see here this is a 5 marks derivation. Okay, it's a big derivation which will be asked for 5 marks. Okay, okay, just a minute, I'll take the attendance. Okay students, thank you.